Okay, so Lady Vengeance is the third movie in the so-called Vengeance trilogy, really loose trilogy here by Park Chan-wook. He made it after the beloved, famous movie Old Boy. Here's a movie, I'm shocked this movie is 20 years old, quite honestly. To me, it watched as fresh as anything I've seen in the last several years. This is a revenge tale, but to me, I'm going to be weird here. This is, to me, a movie about movie styles. That's the way I watched the movie, quite honestly. And the first time watching it, for the longest time in the movie, I really needed some help. I think this is a movie that is hard to absorb if you're not paying very close attention, which is definitely hard here in the early 2020s. That's because I think the story is oblique, but you can read decent summaries on the internet that will help you. It is about the tale of Gumja, a woman who, while very young, was accused of and tried for murdering, a 5-year-old child. She spent 13 years in prison. The first shot of the movie is her getting out of prison. Turns out she's planned to get revenge on the actual killer of the 5-year-old boy. She's used all sorts of women in prison who may have been unjustly put in prison themselves. She's calling in favors throughout the movie. She's setting things up. And by the end of the movie, the last 30 minutes, maybe the last act of the movie, spoiler alert, but this isn't too much of a spoiler, truly, because going in it's a vengeance movie. She catches the killer, and then vengeance may or may not be had, but it's had in, I think, pretty interesting ways for sure. Now, the first time I watched the movie, it calls attention to all kinds of things, specific shots, specific effects. Park Chan-wook's transitions are very unique in cinema history. They are so catchy and flashy. To me, that's a threat. It could distract from the plot, from the substance of the plot, thematics, messages, ideologies, anything you might get out of the movie that's serious. I think some of his work, and I believe this is part of the movie, is deliberately flashy and heavily stylized. Certainly the first act of the movie, as this main character Gumja is assembling her plan and scheming, that part of the movie screams out, here's a cool shot, here's a cool transition, here are cool scenes, and that sort of thing. And since Gumja is a celebrity of sorts in Korea, she's mediated by media. And immediately my thought in this movie when I first watched it is this is about postmodernism in Korea. The world as artifice, is being mediated by somebody else, as lenses that are forcing your perspective, and you can't get at what's really real. Although, as we go along, to me, the movie's stylistics change somewhat to a lot. And I think we're going here. I would use this movie in a class, let's say, to show how I think movies in particular go from postmodernism, a celebration of artifice, almost regardless of subject matter, to then worrying about how art actually relates to a new, gritty, grim reality. For America, that would be post 9/11, war on terror kinds of material. I'm not sure the Koreans are there, but I think so, and I think Park Chan-wook, with the subject matter, and here's a big spoiler, so be really warned, the killer being a teacher, pedophile, child serial killer type, those people are really in the real world. Chan-wook is definitely, I think, figuring out that in the future, I know he's not reading the future, but he's getting towards, this would be a popular subject for movies. In the future, child killers, child pedophiles, that sort of thing. Grisly subject matter. And there's a point at which postmodernism just can't handle that sort of thing and celebrate movies as pure artifice, pure tropes and types. You got to deal with reality at some point. So as an illustration of that, what I mean is the Santa Claus band at the beginning, it's kind of hokey, it's kind of fake, it's kind of cheesy. They deliver this sort of tofu cake as a gift to Gumja as she exits prison. And she kind of rejects that, even though she's been play acting, I think, as a Christian during her stay in prison. And by the end, not a spoiler, okay, but it's going to be wintry, dark, haunting scenes, a la somebody like Nuri Bilge Ceylan, who may have been watching Chan-wook for all I know, but the dark, wintry, moral mess of the ending is reflected in, it's called the pathetic fallacy, where nature is reflecting the inner emotions of the characters. I don't think it's a fallacy, but here you get this snowy, messed up, dark, cold world, which is, the Coens love this, a number of noirs love this sort of thing too. But you have to compare the sort of false wintry scenes, the artificial, hokey, commercialized wintry scenes, this Santa Claus stuff at the beginning, with the wintry real wintry, snowy stuff at the end. To me as well, the like mid '90s movies, Natural Born Killers, Tarantino to a great extent. They're almost celebrating violence, and I don't say that they really are, but I feel like kind of maybe, because violence on screen is fake, it's artificial, it's something we relish in as entertainment. That's postmodernism 101 in a way. Entertainment is just entertainment, is separated from the real world. I feel like the first act to half to even 2/3 of this movie is doing that with the heavy stylizations, and then as it moves into catching the killer, the consideration of getting vengeance upon him privately, not via the law or the law courts, then you have this much more heavier feel. And it's a remarkable movie to me, as at least in the way it affected me, and certainly 4.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. A lot of people love this movie. In its shift in tones over the movie from laugh out loud funny and goofy dad joke sort of stuff and weird transitions that are calling attention to themselves, as I said, to then by the end as morally and deadly serious as possible, where it makes me feel like, this is a heavy consideration. Why should we get vengeance on somebody? Should we do it at all? How do we do it well? Can we ever feel good about getting vengeance upon someone? A consideration, most vengeance tales don't even have. There's a meta philosophical level here, especially on Goom Ja's part, who I think is herself considering this. Is vengeance satisfactory? And the ancient answer, more or less, most of the time, although the Odyssey and other texts are different, the answer is no. Once you do bloodletting, it's not satisfactory at all to get revenge on somebody, because you live with first of all, the thing that actually happened, the thing you're getting vengeance upon. The children are dead, etc. As well, killing somebody, taking them out, throwing them in jail, doesn't ever feel fully satisfactory. I think the ending is getting us to that. It's basic and simple in its way, but it's a time-tested and necessary thing to discuss, especially for postmodernists fair, as I'm saying, because if they don't take, in general, movies seriously as real things that have something to say about the real world, then vengeance is just a goofy show or a pastiche to delight in, rather than something that is a serious consideration for real people, justice in the world at all. Goom Ja, then you look at her, she's a witch or she's an angel, and that's a type or trope that could be used. It could become a fantasy movie, it could become really a Kill Bill kind of movie. But no, is she a witch or an angel? That's actually a real consideration for her getting vengeance upon somebody, and bringing a bunch of other people into that, by the way. Is she doing the world good or evil or nothing at all? She's called the good-hearted in this, but, given the stains, the moral stains all over the place with her, is she really good-hearted? Is there anybody who's good-hearted? So in part, Wikipedia defines this as a neo-noir psychological thriller, and I feel like you would think that coming out of it, but that's only describing the last half to the last third of the movie. As I'm saying, this wild mix of tones. Maybe it's sort of a Baroque movie in that sense, but because of the way it moves all the way through, by the end, to me, the heavy seriousness of it, means that something is shifting perhaps in the real world at this point in time, or maybe for a viewer, getting them to shift out of the visions of entertainment and delight in seeing violence on the screen and just feeling it's goofy or funny, and transitioning them into something that is heavy and dark and serious and potentially real, in fact is real. It to me is part of the method and the formal messaging of this movie. Now, that's the way I read it initially. So, JC, I hope that's helpful. Quite honestly, I should show you my notes, because every 2 minutes I'm writing things down. I'm going, what the heck? That's amazing. Great shot here. And Chan-wook I think he's at his height of his powers. This movie, if it were to come out today, it would be a wildly popular movie, I think, at least with young cinephile types. I don't know if the whole world would care about it, but I think young people would feel this is a great movie. Thus, I think you should try to watch it if you like this kind of fare, because it deals, to me, in a heady way, intellectual way, as well as a delightful way, although I feel somewhat disgusted by it when it deals with these topics earnestly and seriously. Now, that's my initial thought of Lady Vengeance. I need to go watch this movie again. That's the end of the story. Go watch it again and on a big screen. What do you think of Lady Vengeance? Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe to this channel for more great content. Thank you. Have a great day.